Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Ultra. We are going to be walking through, as you've already known, a 5-chapter day, 100 days, covering almost half of the entire Bible, which is an amazing feat to do in 100 days. That means in 200 days, you could have actually read this entire book if you continue on the path that you're going right now, or you can slack up a little bit and just by the end of the year have read the entire Bible, which is a really cool thing to think about. In fact, if you were to read all the Bible through, like just sit down at one point and just read and continue to read, it would take you about 8 hours to read the entire Bible. If you just started and just continued on and continued, like think about that. 8 hours and could have the whole thing read. We got 15 minutes a day to spend in Bible study. So I hope you're along with Bible study. I hope you're along the journey with us. We're just leaving out of 1st and 2nd Samuel with Bishop, and then we had Brother G, and they have so beautifully spoken to us about King David. But this is about King David and the end of his life. That's where 1 Kings picks up, because 1 Kings is a book about all the rest of the kings besides David that was who led Israel. So you think of kings like Enoch, Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Ultra. Today, we're going to be diving into a new book and kind of a new framework. So we're going to be diving into 1 Kings today. And I want to kind of differentiate something between what Bishop walked us through in 1 Samuel and with Samuel being on the rise, and what Brother Jeep walked us through with 2 Samuel, with David and Saul kind of playing out their story. What we saw is there was one prophet, namely Samuel, and kind of two kings, Saul and then David. Well, in 1 Kings, you're going to see something completely different. You're going to see the rise of a new prophet. That new prophet's going to be named Elijah. And you're also going to see the rise of a new king, namely Solomon, which is going to be David's son. But how that kingship got to be is where we're going to pick up today in 1 Kings chapter 1. And what I want to talk about just for a few moments together is how to stop a problem before it becomes a bigger problem. How to stop a problem before it becomes a bigger problem. And this is what the text is going to help us uncover today. But let's just start reading. I want to, in 1 Kings chapter 1, I'm going to pick up in verse 5. It says, about that time, David's son, Adonai, or Adonijah, I don't know how you pronounce that, we'll call him Adon, whose mother was Haggith, began boasting, I will make myself king. So he provided himself with chariots and charioteers and recruited 50 men to run the force for him. Now his father King David had never disciplined him at all, even by asking, why are you doing this or why are you doing that, which speaks to discipline as a parent. Adon had been born next after Absalom, and we've already studied a little bit about Absalom and his tragic fall, and it says that Adon was very handsome. So he took Joab, son of Jeruth, and Abiathar the priest into his confidence, and they agreed to help him become king. So now he's taking important men of David's history and David's command. He says, okay, you can be beneficial to me, you can be beneficial. Let me kind of get my clan and my clique together. We're going to have this huge party, and I'm not going to invite a couple of people. And in verse 11, you see who he's not going to invite. He's not going to invite Nathan, who was the priest at that time. If you remember, Nathan's the one who approached David with the sin with Bathsheba. So he doesn't invite him. He doesn't invite Bathsheba, and he does not invite Solomon, which is David's youngest son, the son of Bathsheba. So this party comes on, and now Nathan finds out about it. So he goes to Bathsheba. They kind of start talking about this coup that's coming up and how Adon's trying to become king. So verse 15 now, it says this. So Bathsheba went to the king's bedroom. It's just this weird verse or story even about this young lady named Abishag, who was really young and took care of David in his old age, like a nurse, kind of. It was kind of weird. So verse 16, it says, Bathsheba bowed down before the king. What can I do for you? He asked her. She replied, My lord, you made a vow before the Lord your God when you said to me, your son Solomon will surely be the next king on your throne. Verse 18, but instead, Adon, or Adonijah, however you pronounce that, has made himself king, and my lord, the king, does not even know about it. So she's addressing, this is happening behind your back. You don't know about it. I'm coming to you because this you need to know and to know how to address it. Verse 19, he has sacrificed many cattle, fattened calves, along with the king's sons, all this other stuff, he says. But he did not invite your servant Solomon. Verse 20, and now, my lord the king, all of Israel is waiting for you to announce who's going to be the king after you. If you do not, get this, verse 21, if you do not act soon, my son Solomon and I will be treated as criminals as quickly as my lord the king has died. So she says, when you die, which is going to happen, probably soon, you're old, we're going to be treated like outcasts and probably as criminals. If we're lucky, we're going to be thrown in jail, probably going to be killed, both my son Solomon and me, because everybody knows that you said Solomon's going to be king. So we see in this Bible story a couple of ways that this lady, Bathsheba, Solomon's mom, acted in a way to get out in front of the problem. The problem was that Adon was trying to make himself king before David had announced who the next king was going to be. So he's trying to work everything and manipulate the situation and make himself king, like sometimes many people do. And David is not even aware that this is going on because he's in his room. So now she's coming and she's going to make himself aware. So what are a couple of things that we learn from the passage on how to handle problems before they come, bigger problems? Number one, and this is, y'all, this is so hard for me to do. I'm speaking to myself right here. But number one, address the problem before it has a chance to catch fire. Address the problem before it has a chance to catch fire. I don't know that anybody necessarily likes conflict. I think sometimes people are scared of the right things. They're scared of the consequences if they don't address the conflict now of it growing. That's healthy. I am too scared of addressing the conflict now, and then I'll just let it fester and fester and fester until I have no other choice but to deal with it, and I can't duck my head under the sand anymore, which is not great. Like, it's something that's wrong with me. So what this teaches me is, number one, how in our lives and in my life it's important to address the conflict as a spark before it can grow into a fire. This is exactly what Bathsheba does. Before David dies and he can't help anymore, and now Absalom is king and now they're running for their lives. If she was to try to address it then, she would have probably died and Solomon would have probably died too. But she chooses, and it's a choice, but she chose to go and address it. Secondly, we see invite others into the struggle with you. We see that Bathsheba and Solomon were not invited, but she got Nathan, and Nathan, they kind of helped each other out. And then we saw Bathsheba rely on David and kind of brought David into the and just to let him know. And so David is a guy who could help. He was the king. He could offer wisdom. He could offer guidance. But in this specific example, he actually just says, you know what? Come on, Solomon. I'm actually going to let you sit on my throne today. And he has ability to help. So we want to invite people into our story and into our struggle so that not only we're making people aware of the problem, and not only are we trying to handle the problem, but we're asking people, hey, and we're even admitting, hey, I need help. And then lastly, I think you would probably agree with this, and it's not specifically in the text, but maybe it's a subplot of the text. I think it is. It's to rely on God in the midst of a problem, because so easily, David's going to handle my problem. Okay, well, Nathan's going to handle my problem. Okay, well, they can't do it. I'm going to handle my problem. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with lacing your bootstraps up and you trying to take care of it. That's what we're talking about. You should. But at the end of the day, we got to understand and come to the realization that it's God who we're placing our trust in, and we're hoping that He's the one to ultimately handle the situation. So even when it comes to doctors, when it comes to people who are in nursing homes, yes, we're saying, what's the best advice? What medicine do we need to take? What's the next treatment? Or if it's on our personal, maybe we're in therapy. How should I handle this next time it happens? Whatever. Yes, we're leaning on therapists. We're leaning on doctors. We're leaning on even people like myself as pastors. Yes, lean on those people, but ultimately we're understanding that it's nobody else that's going to help me through this problem. It's God who I put my faith in and who I rely on. So we're addressing the problem before it has a chance to grow. We're inviting other people in to help us through it. But when we invite other people in, we're making sure, number 3, our reliance and our hope is on God, and it's on God alone. Anyways, that's all I have for 1 Kings chapter 1 through 5. We're going to be in 1 Kings chapter 6 through 10 tomorrow. I've realized through doing these ultras how much I taught with my hands. So today I was trying to keep my hands on my Bible, and I've done such a terrible job. I've been doing this the whole time, and I hurt my shoulder skin. And so anyway, the more I taught with my hands, the more my shoulder hurts. So I'm like, don't do it. And sure enough, I did it. So I don't know if I can stop that. But thank y'all for tuning in to the Ultra. And I'll see y'all tomorrow in chapter 6 through 10. And until then, peace.